Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh, here today to talk to you about Beneath the Mold from the Stockholm, Sweden-based band Vananidr. This one is coming off of Black Lion Records, and Vananidr finds himself sitting within the more melodic black metal sphere. And on Beneath the Mold, I wouldn't say you're gonna find anything particularly new, but you are going to get a record that is very well performed and well executed with a lot of diversity in the riffs, which are well crafted, and some really evocative melodicism. On the opening track, Dominion, you get these really trebly, sort of bouncy riffs that, to my ears, kind of call back to those classic Immortal records. The vocals here have a real bite to them, and they're really slowly cooked in their delivery. The drums kind of creep in until they reach this sort of climactic point where they become very furious, and they don't let off the gas until the end of the song. There's a real ambience, a real cold, majestic feel to this song. It's helped propped up by some really nice, clean backing vocals in a couple moments. Here, the band really communicates this sense of wonder, especially when the vocalist repeatedly and desperately shouts, "If this could be my home for all eternity." There's a couple really standout lines like that throughout this record. And the band does a really good job of sort of seamlessly switching between moods and tempos and feels, kind of going in from some of the more melodic sections here and easily jumping into some more traditional black metal riffs. On Awake, it opens up with some really grim tremolo riff earworms that are dark, yes, but also inviting and kind of beautiful at times. The band handles changes in texture really well, subtly adding elements and slowly kind of taking them away in a way that moves these tracks forward in kind of an unnoticeable way that isn't ham-fisted. There's a kind of a bassier riff here that plays some prominence, a bit on the thrashier side actually, but it doesn't feel out of place. It really sits well in this track. There's these little melodic flourishes sprinkled throughout that are kind of pulled out of the depths, and they're constantly coming in at a time where it's going to demand your attention and draw you back into the track and not let you kind of drift away. On The Watcher, you get a very murky, sort of sparse intro with just this dissonant guitar playing by itself. But that's before you were kind of just punched as the other elements sort of furiously rush in. It's a big, sort of exhilarating moment here. You're led to these doomier, very primordial riffs, and there's some very evil sounding arpeggios that nest these very poisonous, very dark vocals. There's some spirally guitar acrobatics that kind of hop around in your headphones if you're listening to this album that way. I love talking about the lyrics again, the despair that is communicated. Paradise lost to the underworld. No life, no time. On the title track here, you get this rather melancholic, dreary riff that plays a lot of prominence and is kind of repeated throughout the track, and it just sells that complete and absolute despair and hopelessness that is soaking this album in its entirety. This is kind of the long, epic, winding centerpiece of the album, clocking in at just over 10 minutes long. And there's this interesting midsection to this track where the song does this kind of fade out, and it fades into this somber, gentle piano passage that is kind of dark, lonely, and desolate. You got these bird sounds that kind of float around. It adds to the loneliness of the track, and it's also really pretty. And but it you get what it's doing, and this section just suddenly goes away with like a snap, and you're hit with this pummeling riff. It's kind of a jarring transition, and not kind of, it really is unexpected and really kind of takes you by surprise, but I don't think it's too out of place. It seems intentional, that jarringness of it. It's supposed to be kind of like what is going on kind of moment, and I think in that way it works. I like the idea of what they're doing there. Dressed in Pain, you get these sticky melodies that marry themselves to some real propulsive blast from the drums, and you get these dark, blasphemous chugs from the guitar that add a real dangerous bark to the track. Sea of Lies, there's a real spaciousness to it. It's kind of created with these long, sustained, distorted chords that kind of take their time to develop. On the bottom of that, you got these really galloping drum patterns. There's a real enveloping feel to this conclusion track. And the band continuously does a really good job of introducing these really memorable melodic motifs that return a lot but don't overstay their welcome. It's not overdone. And that definitely happens really well on this track in particular. Beneath the Mold is probably not going to present anything that's too foreign or unfamiliar to seasoned listeners and fans of black metal. But you're going to get something that is well done. And they do what they do here with excellence and really put together a very enjoyable package that has all of the ingredients that make a good black metal album. It injects a lot of exciting melodicism and that do not sacrifice a darkness and a ferocity on this album. They kind of hold both of those, the melodies and the grimness. There's a lot of really standout riffs and diversity in the riffs, but they don't rely too much on hooks or just kind of instant gratification, instant thrills. It's an album that's meant to be absorbed as a whole. And the one thing you can't say about this album is that it's overproduced. No, it doesn't rely or kind of fall back on studio trickery at all. In fact, there's a real kind of lo-fi sort of frigidness that gives this album its charm and makes it what it is. And those are my thoughts. It's a really good black metal album for black metal fans. If you listened to this record, please tell me what you thought. Give me any feedback. I love reading those comments. They mean a lot to me, and I'm really thankful that people take the time and are interested in what I have to say about metal music. If you enjoyed this review, please hit the like button. It helps a lot. If you like what I do and want to be informed of when I put out another review or another video, please subscribe, and that would be really supportive. That really helps the channel grow and reach more people. Keep it metal. My name is Maddie, aka Beaver Mosh, signing off.